So let's take a look at the struggle that we faced here in America. Um, we had, you know, them constantly trying to keep us down. You know, after slavery, after slavery, things didn't just automatically get better. They started trying to come up with new ways to keep us down. Jim Crow, black codes, convict leasing, um, um, then just blatant actual criminal activity of just violence, lynching, mob violence, like oh, I forget the actual term for it, but like when they actually exercised the coup, there was like this black there was this town that was had black politicians, and they came in and killed a bunch of the politicians, the black politicians, and just took over the government. It was this town's government. They just and this is what they've done. So like they'll fight their war on so many levels just to stop us. But while they're doing that to us, do you know what they were doing in Africa? That's another part of the story we have to be aware of. We have to understand what they were doing in Africa. So it's interesting that we can get to the 1960s, and finally the civil rights struggle seems to have achieved objectives, right? So civil rights seems to have achieved objectives. Blatant and overt government sponsored racism, is has been defeated, right? Overt, blatant, explicit, and overt government racism has ended. But that's so 1970s, 1980s. You know what's going on in Africa at that time? In South Africa, while we're free, they still have apartheid. Think about that. In South Africa, while we're free, they still have apartheid. They're still dealing with what we've gotten out of. So they're still suffering under the same boot that we've already suffered from. Like that should let us know, like their institutions are being controlled by some of these same people, or by cousins of these same people, to control them. So if we're assuming that black immigrants are coming over here with a white supremacist mindset, where are their minds being poisoned by? Who's poisoning their minds? Because I'm gonna push back against two parts. One, I think we have to separate something. We have to separate white supremacy and anti-blackness. They're two separate things. They're often closely related, but they're two separate things. And let me tell you why we have to separate them. Because there are a lot of people that have anti-blackness that don't necessarily subscribe to white supremacy. And then that would be a great reference to non-black immigrants. But when we deal with anti-blackness, then we get to realize that there is and has been a global war against black people, not just black Americans, definitely against black Americans, but also against black people in the Caribbean, against black people in Africa. Like, this has been a worldwide war against black people, and it's still going on right now. Ukraine, they're they're fighting a war for their survival, and they still have time to practice anti-blackness. Think about that. They're about to get wiped off the map, but they still have time to engage in anti-blackness. I hear that they actually vet a lot of immigrants before they come over to make sure they're going to work against FBA people interests before they let them in. Somebody made an interesting assessment of some of the people that are coming over, and they made the distinction between class and I guess you could say nationality. So because these are black people, but they're of different nationalities. So if they're coming from Nigeria, or they're coming from Ethiopia, or Somalia, because I know there was a huge online aspect of this diaspora war between Somalians and Black Americans. And like the point being that in fact, let me see if I can find this tweet, because I think it was an interesting thing to consider. Because it's like, if some of these issues are based on something other than what we think it is, like it's reason for us to be like, okay, wait a minute, this isn't, there's something going on here that's much different than what we may have originally thought it was. I can't even find it. But so let's see. Then we so I want to get back to that, though. I do want to get back to that, because like if in fact they, like, let's say they're doing that. Let's say they're specifically handpicking people that are of a certain mindset. Perfect case in point. I remember when Obama was running for president in 2000, up to the 2008 election, and a couple of cats I know, and we heavy into political uplift, and so we're talking about these kind of things. So I'm talking to them. I'm like, I don't trust this Obama dude, and they're like, nah, listen, this it seems like a good thing. His brother seems like he seems like a somebody who's for the people. He sounds, he's from Chicago. It seems like he's got a Black wife. It seems like he's gonna be for us. And so I said, I don't know. I just don't trust it. And the first reason why I have for not trusting it is because they actually chose it. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that he was actually getting support from the political establishment was one of the things that had me suspicious. But I decided to read his book. I said, okay, let me look into him before I make an actual decision. So, as you know, Obama, he's got a white mother, and his father is from Kenya. So I look up read his book, Dreams of My Father. I believe that was the book I was reading, and start reading about his family history. So yeah, his father was from Kenya, and his family was in Kenya during colonization, while it was being colonized. The interesting thing is finding out what his family was doing during that colonization. Obama's family was collaborating with the Europeans that were colonizing Kenya. So, to your point, because remember, these types of colonizations happened all over Africa. There may be, I can definitely see this system rewarding people that worked against Black people, worked against Black interests, by giving them entrance to this country. So, if that's the case, then what we're dealing with here is something that there's not a natural enmity between us and Africans, and us and black people from Caribbean. The fact is that these are hand-picked tools that are being brought because they have demonstrated their willingness to collaborate against Black people. If that's the case, because as I think about it, I'm like, okay, listen, there's definitely I definitely see some of that in play in some of these individuals. But then, I mean, we have to be able to make that distinction and be aware of that distinction, that these are people that are not, these are people that aren't even supporting Black people where they come from. So if these people are anti-Black, they're just it's them. It's not a matter of Africans being against us. It's a matter of these individuals are being, so it's like I said, it's a matter of looking at a Jesse Lee Peterson. And if y'all, I mean, I'm guessing some of y'all know who Jesse Lee Peterson is. I'm knowing who Brandon Tatum is. You will find these individuals who are actively opposed to Black people and have intense hatred for Black people. But we need to realize that these are not representative of the masses of Africans.
Thank you for checking out this clip of Escaping the Echo Chamber. If you would like to check out the entire live stream, you can click on the screen now, or you can click on the link in the description box below. I'll see you next time.